So I'm vacationing on Mackinac Island, Michigan, where my family has been for decades. My grandfather taught here back when Mackinac College was still around. It was only around for 3 years, but he still loved it. And he retired here, living here year round, back in 1987 until his death in 2005. And right now, my uncle lives here full time, year round. And yeah, I've been coming up here on vacation, minus a couple years. Really, ever since I was able to walk, ever since I was able to handle going on the ferry rides over to this island, I've been coming here just about annually. And what better way to what better review to do about Mackinac Island, on Mackinac Island, than the most Mackinac Island movie that there is. I'm talking about Somewhere in Time from 1980. It is based on the novel Bedtime Return, and the movie stars Christopher Reeve, Superman, Jane Seymour, and Christopher Plummer. It is it was not really well reviewed when it first came out, but it has since gained a pretty big cult following. Now I see where people are coming from when they said initially that they didn't really like this film. It's flawed, but it's still a very sweet film. And I am able to see the flaws in it myself, but I guess you could say the reason I can't hate this film is because I have a little too much bias with this. And it's also come to be probably Christopher Reeve's best. I mean, like, aside from Superman, this is like the preeminent Christopher Reeve film. And Jean Zwark, the dude that directed Jaws 2, this is a film of his as well. He directed it, and I think he did a much better job doing Somewhere in Time than he did with Jaws 2. So the movie is about this Chicago playwright named Richard Collier, who's played by Christopher Reeve. One day, after one of his plays is very successful, he's approached by this elderly woman who gives him this pocket watch and says, "Come back to me." Doesn't know what the hell is going on. He's like, "I've never seen this woman before in my life." And a little bit of time passes, and he retreats to Mackinac Island, and he falls madly in love with a portrait of this woman who lived back in 1912 named Elise McKenna, who's played by Jane Seymour. So, and Jane Seymour, very, very gorgeous woman. And yeah, we're just as the portrait that hangs in the Grand Hotel, which is one of the most luxurious hotels in all of the States. Yeah, we're just as in awe of her portrait as Richard is. So, yeah, he falls in love with the picture, and he's become obsessed with trying to find out who this woman is. Finds out that her name is Elise McKenna, and he becomes obsessed with self-hypnosis because, as it turns out, as you might expect, it was her that gave him the pocket watch. Her as an elderly woman giving him a pocket watch. So yeah, turns out, as you might expect, an old life sort of thing. So Richard tries to use self-hypnosis to take him back to 1912 and be with her. So when he travels back to that time, it's very much like something you'd see out of one of those classic pieces of literature, like The Age of Innocence or A Room with a View. very much like that. It's a very, very elegant, very, very fancy glitz sort of thing that happens once he travels back to 1912. Now, here's really the only problem that I found with the film, okay? So, they meet, of course, they fall in love, of course, but not enough of the film is dedicated to their romance. See, even though it takes a long time for us to actually get us to Mackinac Island back with the Jane Seymour time, and it does take a while for the romance to actually start happening. Like, well, of course, when they get together, it's pretty instant. It's pretty much just a one-night stand until he's able to travel back to 1980. But I still do think that despite that flaw, this still is a really wonderful film. Jane Seymour is excellent in this. I'm surprised she was nominated for an Oscar that year, but as I said, it wasn't really all that well acclaimed back then. And also, because I'm pretty biased towards this film, like, I'm on the island right now, okay? I can name you certain spots where some of the filming was. My mother and my uncle, her twin, were extras in the movie. My uncle, who is the one that's staying here year-round, was actually Christopher Reeve's gopher on set. How awesome is that, being Superman's gopher? So, yeah, because my family has great ties to this film, and the setting has superb ties to my family, I'll admit I do have some biases towards this. If I didn't, then I would probably give this slightly below what the amount of stars that is. If I didn't, this movie's aged really, really well. Okay. If I didn't love this film, I mean, if it didn't have the biases, I'd give it 3.5 stars. But because I do have the biases towards this film, I gotta give it my highest score of 4 stars.